Fighting the border crisis. A Biden staffer blocked Texas Senator Ted Cruz from taking a video at an illegal alien facility in Donna, Texas, where illegal aliens have been jam-packed into facilities designed for a much smaller number of people. Watch what happened when Senator Cruz tried to film the conditions.
Please give dignity to the people. Please give dignity to the people.
So you work for the commissioner, your senior advisor. You were hired 2 weeks ago, and you're instructed to ask us to not have any pictures taken here.
Please respect the people,
because the political leadership at DHS does not want the American people to know it.
Please respect the rules,
You keep standing in front of the pictures, so you don't want the pictures taken. The rules are arbitrary, and they're designed to keep the American people in the dark.
Dignity and respect. That's all we ask.
Well,
Dignity
no, it's
and
not.
respect.
You're asking, is this dignity and respect? Look at these people. There's a pandemic.
To the people.
Dignity and respect for those who have come into the country illegally. Joining me now to weigh in, former NYPD commissioner and Newsmax contributor, Bernie Kerik. Bernie, you know, I've been saying that Biden has created 3 crises at the border: a humanitarian crisis, public health crisis, and a national security crisis. I think what Americans want to know is what we can all do to push back on Biden's government-sponsored illegal immigration. The national GOP appears to be completely powerless. What say you?
Well, listen, I think the GOP is powerless in a number of areas these days. And, you know, I'm glad that Senator Cruz was pushing, but they've got to do more. They've got to do more to expose what's going on. You know, out of the 3 categories you mentioned, my primary concern is national security. You know, the people that come into the borders, that's been coming through the borders, that we've stopped, probably 10 to 15% of them. They're not from South America, Central America. They're from other countries. And they're going to wind up getting in here. And nobody knows better than I do what happens when bad people get into this country that want the demise of this country. So I think the GOP, the Republicans, have to do more. And, you know, the one other thing I'd say, Chris, you know, Joe Biden and the Democrats were harsh on President Trump about transparency, when in fact he was probably the most transparent president we've ever had. Right. In this case, they want no transparency. They don't want anyone to see what's going on there because it's outrageous. It's inhumane.
You're right.
Should not be happening, and we have to do more about it.
Yeah, I want to expand on that. Before we go on to other things, I want to expand on that because here's one of Biden's staffers trying to get in the way of a sitting senator trying to show the American people what's going on. These disgraceful conditions. I got a note from a congressperson today who got a tour of a facility that was supposed to house 250 people. It's got 4,300 people in it now. These are the inhumane conditions, and Biden doesn't want us to see, and his little staffer there doesn't want America to see what this administration is doing to human beings. Am I off base?
No, Chris, and you know what? If that was happening in a detention facility, in a BOP, a federal detention facility, anywhere in this country, the Department of Justice would come in and close you down. They would close you down. They'd be in court immediately to take you out of the box. How do they get away with this? I don't know.
Outrageous charges made by the press and left-wing prosecutors against those who tended the mostly peaceful demonstration on January 6th. Reuters is now reporting the charges are being dropped, some of the most outlandish ones, due to what? Lack of evidence. Meanwhile, there in Oregon, police arrested 3 rioters after they just went nuts outside a building in Salem. The message being sent is dangerous. It's unequal treatment under the law while socialists are in charge.
You know what, Chris? All you have to do is take the 2 videos. In one video, you have criminal trespassing for the most part. In the other video, in Portland, you have an assault, an attack, fire bombs, you know, an overwhelming use of force on a federal courthouse, and they weren't locking up anybody. They wouldn't even send federal authorities. The bottom line is, and then they won't talk about it. They won't put it out. They won't talk about it in CNN and MSNBC. The bottom line is, it's you know, it's the same Department of Justice, but they act very differently depending on where you're located.
And our thanks to Reuters for pointing out that despite all the Democrats, socialists, and these left-wing prosecutors crying, sedition, sedition, not one charge of the nearly 400 people who have been arrested so far has been sedition because they don't have the evidence for that. Meanwhile, the Democrats' push to defund the police is having disastrous effects all over the country, as you know, Mr. Kerik. And now another left-wing city, Baltimore, says, you know what? We're not going to prosecute drug possession, prostitution, or low-level crimes. We're just not going to follow the law. Why is the left wing allowed to do this in America?
Well, you know what's happening, Chris? In Minneapolis, they defunded, they had to refund. In L.A., they defunded, they had to refund. In Baltimore, they've now decided we're not going to enforce quality of life crimes. Quality of life crimes. You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is just like happened in New York City prior to 1993 and Rudy Giuliani come into office. It's going to, the city's basically at the point that it's going to implode. When you leave quality of life crimes alone, all the major crimes start to grow and flourish. That's what you're going to have.
Exactly. Bernie Kerik, always a pleasure talking with you, sir. We'll chat again.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.